Alright, so we've got Brother Lynch Hung, and this is album 2 in his three-part series called the Kothanga Strangler. Now, really, I like this album quite a bit. It's easily going to get a high score, but some of what had happened was he signed to Tech Nine's label, and, some of his other albums are kind of harder to find, and this was pretty much good timing because Tech Nine was breaking the surface as far as leaving the underground scene, even though his style didn't get worse. And Brother Lynch, it put him closer than he's been. I don't know all of his records, but I think one of them is Season of the Sickness, but some of the other ones I just don't know how touted they are. I'm looking forward to actually reviewing more of his stuff. So with this record, I'm going to let you know that the way that it sounds so fearful. And that's a really good thing. This is not intended for radio that much. I can't think of a radio station that would play Brother Lynch, but that's okay. It doesn't really matter. So this record, it doesn't really feel like he's aiming for clubs and bars and dance clubs and really even cruising music. It has like a main theme, which is murderous intentions. And so, the welcome to horrorcore. That's the only thing I can say. Now, really, if you're expecting to know exactly what he says, you might as well go and get the record, because what this is going to do, it's one of those releases that I feel is good at getting you in a different mood. Like, this is pretty much one of the best horrorcore albums out of the 2010s decade, and that's good just because it sounds relevant. There really isn't a bad beat on this album, and this is about as close as it's going to get to being a household name. I feel like these three releases, this Kothanga Strangler series that he did, this was really close to not being underground anymore. And so I just can't think of terribly many people this decade who have done it. Maybe Blaze Ya Dead and Esham. I don't know how to say his name, but I've yet to listen to those. So, yes, I'm relatively new to horrorcore, but it's an experience that pretty much is worthwhile. So, whether or not you can smoke to this, if the content doesn't bother you, this is pretty much a very affable album to smoke to. Feel like Spit It Out, Red Dead Bodies, I See You, I Don't Think My Mama's Ever Loved Me, Suicide Watch, Sooner or Later. These are all some great ones. It just feels dim natured, which is something to definitely pay attention to. Really, he has the ability to rap. It's not just something that isn't, but it's got a theme. So the production, I did like almost every beat on this album, and there were ones like, I can't remember, there's 15 songs on here, and I think, Kothanga was kind of good, Manable Lecter, Sooner or Later, there were just a bunch of them, really. So let's talk about the unheard songs. So there were 15 songs on this, and out of 15, I ended up liking 12 out of 15, plus one almost song, which is 13 out of 15. So the only two songs I did not like were Blinded by Desire and I'm Not Perfect. But I'll talk about a few of the ones I really like. Spit It Out's one of the best ones on here. So is Sooner or Later. Tech Nine is on I See You. I Don't Think My Mama's Ever Loved Me is a great one. Taking Online Orders also has Tech on there. yeah, I mean, there's just so many. You're gonna really enjoy the trip that this ends up giving you. Look, it's a dead body, Mandible Lecter. I mean, all of these just sound so vicious, and that is something that it takes you for a ride. A few other ones. Another one I really liked was Friday Night. Look, it's a dead body. Therapy Session. It happens. Now, really, all of these have this sound that is pretty much different than a lot that is actually in rap. And so, you know, most people are not concerned with dismembering others, and it works extremely well just because this type of entertainment, it provides a bit of theater for you. It's got, Eminem did this on Relapse, and I feel like that's one of the more recent albums to do this sort of thing. I think, Tech Nine fits this pretty well. There's just a ton of different rappers that happen to have this style, and it adds to it. Not really, because, the concern of most rappers is just get to the club, find something, and get money. So it just adds a different sense of something. But, I will say that all you're going to have to worry about is listening to it. This is quite a treat going through the entire thing. So obviously I'm not, it's pretty much good to go. I think really this whole entire album, there aren't too many lyrical missteps, and you're going to be able to enjoy this thing. I mean, I'd recommend listening to all three of his albums. I reviewed all three of them now, and it's definitely gonna take you through things. I almost want to say it would change your style of thinking, but the thing about it is that some people are just not gonna really be open to it. It still is different than anything on the air, so just keep that in mind. If you're used to listening to the latest 2015, 2014 club song, you're just streaming that sort of stuff, give Brother Lynch a try. I mean, it's so warped that it'll get you obsessed with the style, and I think that's what's important, just because so many people want the new stuff. So, give that a shot. Dig up some dirt on some of these horrorcore rappers. It's definitely worthwhile. As for the score, it's getting a 10. Just forget about that. It's definitely going to get one. And the big thing is, I just can't think of terribly many records that don't have something I can relate to that actually win this way. Because I mean, that is something I pay attention to in a song, but this is far and away something that needs to be noticed. And so the future, I don't know what Brother Lynch has been up to. It's been a little bit. I think he's still on Tech Nine's label. But is this album social? I would say no. I'm gonna give it like an 8.5. I mean, the reason why I give it an 8.5 is because if I gave it a 5, some people would say, well, I'm not going to play it. So, you have to pay attention and realize that it's good, and it's also a complete 180 from most of the styles that you're listening to daily. You want to talk about women? You want to talk about how you're good with women? Go ahead. This is something different. So, that's one thing. And can it be topped? I don't think so. I think all three of these albums have basically gotten a high score, and that's just something to pay attention to. So I give this album a 10 and an 8.5 social. Subscribe for more fun.